Jake Morrison wiped the grease from his hands with an old rag and looked at the clock on the workshop wall. It was almost midnight and his stomach was making loud noises. He had been working on the broken air recycling unit for 6 hours straight and had forgotten to eat dinner again. The orbital station New Haven was quiet at this hour, with most people asleep in their quarters. He stretched his tired muscles and decided he needed food and caffeine if he was going to finish this repair job. The 24-hour convenience store on level 7 would have what he needed. Jake grabbed his wallet and headed out of the workshop. The corridors of New Haven were dimly lit during night hours. His footsteps echoed as he walked past the closed shops and restaurants. A few security guards nodded at him as he passed. They knew Jake well since he often worked late fixing things around the station. The convenience store was bright and welcoming after the dark hallways. The automatic doors slid open. With a soft sound, Jake breathed in the smell of coffee and processed food. This place always reminded him of the corner stores back on Earth where he grew up. He walked straight to the snack aisle looking for his favorite potato chips. Earth food was expensive out here, but Jake worked hard and deserved a treat. He also needed some energy drinks to keep him awake for the rest of his shift. Jake reached for a bag of chips on the top shelf, but his hand bumped into someone else reaching for the same bag. He turned to apologize and found himself looking at the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. She was tall with silver hair that seemed to catch the store lights in strange ways. Her skin was pale and perfect. Most striking were her ears, which came to elegant points, an elf. Jake had seen a few elves on the station before, but never one who made him forget how to speak. Her eyes were violet like deep space, and they sparkled with amusement as she looked at him. She wore a simple dark cloak, but Jake could tell she carried herself like someone important. "Sorry about that," Jake managed to say. "I was just trying to grab some chips." The woman smiled and her whole face lit up. "No problem at all. I was reaching for the same bag. Great minds think alike, I suppose." Her voice was musical with a slight accent Jake could not place. She gestured to the chips. "Please go ahead. There are plenty more." No, Jake said quickly. "You were here first. Take them." She tilted her head and studied him with those amazing eyes. "How about we each take a bag and call it even?" Jake nodded and grabbed a bag of chips. The woman did the same. They stood there for a moment in awkward silence. "I am Luna," she said, extending her hand. "Jake Morrison," he replied, shaking her hand. Her skin was warm and soft, but he felt a strange tingle when they touched like static electricity. "Nice to meet you, Jake Morrison. I have not seen you around the station before. I work down in the maintenance levels mostly, fixing things that break. You do not look familiar either, and I would remember someone like you." Luna laughed, and Jake felt his heart skip. Someone like me? Jake realized how that sounded and felt his face turn red. "I just meant you are very memorable, in a good way. Not that other people are not memorable. I mean, I understand," Luna said, saving him from his rambling. "I am just visiting the station. Between jobs, you might say." Before Jake could ask what kind of work she did, the store doors burst open with a loud crash. 3 large aliens in battle armor stomped into the store. They had gray skin and nasty-looking weapons. Jake recognized them as Krillian bounty hunters from the wanted posters around the station. The lead Krillian pointed a weapon at Luna. "Surrender, now, and we will make this quick." Jake looked at Luna, expecting to see fear, but she just seemed annoyed. Without thinking, Jake stepped between Luna and the bounty hunters. He had no weapon except the bag of chips in his hand, but he could not just stand there and watch someone get hurt. "Hey now," Jake said, trying to sound braver than he felt. "This lady has not done anything wrong. Why do not you just leave her alone?" The Krillians laughed at him. "Stupid human, you have no idea who you are protecting. Step aside or we will kill you too." "Not happening," Jake said firmly. Luna put a gentle hand on his shoulder. "That is very sweet, Jake, but I can handle this." She stepped around him and looked at the 3 bounty hunters. Her violet eyes began to glow with an inner light. The air around her seemed to shimmer. "Gentlemen," Luna said in a voice that suddenly carried power and authority, "you are making a mistake." She raised one hand and the bounty hunters' weapons simply turned to dust in their hands. The Krillians stared in shock at their empty hands. "I suggest you leave," Luna continued calmly. "Now!" The 3 aliens looked at each other, then at Luna. then turned and ran out of the store as fast as they could move. The automatic doors closed behind them with a cheerful chime. Jake stood there with his mouth open, holding his bag of chips. What just happened? Luna turned back to him and her eyes returned to normal. The shimmer in the air faded away. Just some rude individuals who do not understand the word no. You just made their weapons disappear? Did I? Luna smiled mysteriously. Maybe they were just cheap weapons that fell apart. Jake knew what he had seen, but Luna clearly did not want to talk about it. He decided not to push the subject. Well, he said, trying to act normal. That was exciting. Are you hurt? Not at all. Thank you for trying to protect me, though. That was very brave. Jake shrugged. Could not just stand there and do nothing. Luna studied him again with those amazing eyes. Most people would have run away. I am not most people, I guess. No, Luna said softly. You are not. They stood looking at each other in the bright lights of the convenience store. Jake felt like something important had just happened, but he was not sure what. Would you like to get some coffee sometime? Jake heard himself ask before he could stop himself. Luna looked surprised, then pleased. I would like that very much, Jake Morrison. Great. I know a good place. Mama Betty has the best pancakes on the station. I look forward to it, Luna said. She paid for her chips and headed toward the door. Until next time, Jake. Jake watched her leave, then realized he was still holding his unopened bag of chips. He had completely forgotten why he came to the store in the first place. Jake spent the next 2 days thinking about Luna and wondering if she would actually show up for coffee. He had given her directions to Mama Betty, but had forgotten to set a specific time. Every time someone walked into the diner, he looked up, hoping to see silver hair and violet eyes. On the third day, she appeared just as Jake was finishing his breakfast. Luna looked around the small diner with curiosity. The place was nothing fancy with old plastic booths and worn floors, but the food was good and the prices were fair. This is charming, Luna said, sliding into the booth across from Jake. Very authentic. Mama Betty herself came over to take Luna's order. She was a large woman with graying hair who had run this diner for 20 years. What can I get you, honey? Luna studied the menu carefully. What do you recommend? The pancakes are famous, Mama Betty said proudly. Made from my grandmother recipe. Pancakes it is then, and coffee, please. Jake watched Luna take her first bite of pancakes. Her eyes widened in surprise and delight. These are incredible, she said. I have never tasted anything like this. Really, Jake said. They are just regular pancakes. Where I come from, we do not have food quite like this. Everything is very formal and elegant. This is so warm and comforting. Jake was curious about where Luna came from, but she always spoke in vague terms. She was from somewhere in the astral dominion, she had mentioned, but that covered hundreds of star systems. Over the next few weeks, Jake and Luna met for coffee and meals several times. Jake found himself looking forward to these meetings more than anything else in his life. Luna was funny and smart and seemed genuinely interested in everything Jake had to say about his work and his life. Luna loved hearing about human culture and customs. She was fascinated by Jake's stories about growing up on Earth and learning to fix machines with his father. She asked endless questions about human food and music and holidays. Tell me about Christmas again, Luna said one evening as they shared a piece of pie. The part about giving gifts to people you care about. Well, you get presents for your family and friends, Jake explained. Nothing too fancy usually, just something to show you were thinking about them. The best gifts are ones you make yourself or ones that have meaning. Luna nodded thoughtfully. That sounds wonderful. Much better than the formal gift exchanges we have, where everything must be expensive and impressive. Jake was starting to realize that Luna came from a very different world than his. She often made comments about formal events and important people. Sometimes she seemed to know things about galactic politics that regular travelers would not know. Strange things happened when Luna was around, too. The coffee machine at Mama Betty worked better when Luna was there. It never broke down or made bad coffee. The lights seemed brighter and the food tasted even better than usual. Jake's friend Amy Rodriguez, who worked with him in the maintenance department, started asking questions about Luna. There is something different about your elf girlfriend, Amy said one day as they worked on a broken heating unit. She is not my girlfriend, Jake protested, though he wished she was. Whatever she is, there is more to her than she is telling you. I looked her up in the station registry, and there is no record of anyone named Luna arriving recently. Maybe she used a different name on her travel documents. Amy gave him a look. Jake, you are my friend, so I am going to say this nicely, that woman is trouble. Rich people do not hang around maintenance workers unless they want something. She is not like that, Jake said. She is kind and funny, and she actually listens when I talk. Just be careful, okay? I have a bad feeling about this. Jake did not want to admit it, but he was starting to have questions too. Luna never talked about her job or where she was staying on the station. She always had money, but never seemed to work. And there were those strange moments when she seemed to know things she should not know. One evening, they were walking through the station gardens when Luna suddenly stopped. We should go back, she said, looking around nervously. Why? What is wrong? I just have a feeling we should not be here right now. They turned to leave and almost ran into 3 security guards who were clearly looking for someone. Evening, folks, one guard said. We are looking for someone who might be hiding in this area. Tall woman with silver hair. Have you seen anyone like that? Jake felt Luna tense beside him, but she smiled politely at the guards. Sorry, officer, she said. We have not seen anyone like that. The guard looked at her carefully. You have silver hair, miss. Many elves do, Luna replied calmly. Is there a problem? No problem. Just checking. You folks have a good evening. After the guards left, Jake turned to Luna. What was that about? Probably just routine security, Luna said, but she looked worried. Luna, what are not you telling? Me. Those guards were looking for you, were not they? Luna sighed and sat down on a bench. It is complicated, Jake. Try me. I am pretty good with complicated. I told you I was between jobs. What I did not mention is that my last job was very high profile. Some people are not happy with decisions I made. What kind of job? Luna was quiet for a long moment. Administrative work, policy decisions, that sort of thing. Jake could tell she was not telling him everything, but he did not want to push too hard. He was falling for this woman, and he did not want to scare her away. Well, whatever you did, I'm sure you had good reasons, he said. Luna looked at him with those beautiful violet eyes, and Jake saw something that might have been sadness. You are very trusting, Jake Morrison. I am a good judge of character, and you are a good person, Luna. I can tell. She reached over and took his hand. Thank you for saying that. It means more than you know. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, holding hands and watching the artificial stars twinkle in the station sky. Jake, Luna said eventually, if you found out something about me that changed everything, would you still want to be my friend? Nothing could change how I feel about you, Jake said without hesitation. Luna smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. I hope that is true. The next morning, Jake arrived at the diner to find Luna already there, but she looked different. More formal somehow. She was wearing the same dark cloak, but she carried herself like someone preparing for battle. I have to leave for a while, she said without preamble. Work calls. How long will you be gone? I do not know. Maybe a few days, maybe longer. Jake felt his heart sink. Will you come back? Luna reached across the table and squeezed his hand. I promise I will come back, and when I do, I will tell you everything. The whole truth about who I am. I do not care who you are, Luna. I care about you. She smiled, and for a moment she looked like the woman who got excited about pancakes again. When I get back, we will talk. Really talk. And then you can decide if you still feel the same way. Luna stood to leave, then leaned down and kissed Jake softly on the cheek. Wait for me, Jake Morrison. Then she was gone, leaving Jake sitting alone with his coffee, wondering what he had gotten himself into. Jake spent 3 days moping around the maintenance levels, trying to focus on work but thinking about Luna. Amy watched him bang his wrench against pipes that did not need fixing and finally decided to intervene. All right, that is enough, Amy said, grabbing the wrench out of his hand. You are going to break something important if you keep this up. Sorry, Jake mumbled. I guess I am distracted. Your elf friend really got under your skin, did not she? Jake nodded miserably. She said she would be back, but what if she changed her mind? What if she realized I am just a maintenance worker who is not good enough for her? Amy sat down on a crate and pulled out her tablet. Jake, I like you, so I'm going to help you even though you probably will not like what I found. What do you mean? I did some digging into your Luna. Real deep digging using contacts I have in station security. Jake felt a cold knot form in his stomach. What did you find? Amy took a deep breath. Her real name is Lunara Stellarwyn. She is the cosmic empress of the Astral Dominion. Jake stared at his friend. What? She rules over 10,000 star systems, Jake. She commands fleets that could destroy entire planets. People call her the most powerful being in this part of the galaxy. That is impossible, Jake said weakly. She likes pancakes. The Cosmic Empress likes pancakes, apparently, Amy said, showing him her tablet screen. Look at this. Jake looked at the official image on the screen. It showed Luna in elaborate robes and a crown that seemed to be made of starlight itself. She looked regal and distant and nothing like the woman who had laughed at his terrible jokes. Those bounty hunters in the store, Amy continued, they were not after some random elf. They were after the most wanted woman in 12 sectors. You know how much the bounty on her head is worth. Jake sat down heavily on another crate. How much? More money than this entire station is worth. Jake put his head in his hands. So everything was a lie. Maybe not everything, Amy said more gently. But Jake, you have to understand what this means. She could buy and sell solar systems. She has armies and magic powers and responsibilities you cannot even imagine. What could she possibly want with a guy like you? Jake did not have an answer for that question. He felt like the biggest fool in the galaxy. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, Luna was dealing with her own problems. She stood in the command center of her flagship surrounded by advisors and generals, all talking at once about the latest crisis. The rebels have taken 3 more systems, General Kate Silvermoon reported. Diane Blackthorne is gathering more support every day. The Galactic Council is demanding we respond with force, added Admiral Lisa Stormwind. They say diplomacy has failed. Luna listened to the reports, but her mind kept drifting back to a small diner on New Haven Station. She missed talking to someone who did not want anything from her except her company. Empress, General Silvermoon said. What are your orders? Luna focused on the tactical display showing rebel positions. We try negotiation one more time. If that fails, we will use the minimum force necessary to restore order. Respectfully, Empress, negotiation has not worked, Admiral Stormwind argued. Blackthorne only understands strength. Everyone understands strength, Lisa, Luna replied tiredly. The trick is knowing when not to use it. After the meeting, Luna retreated to her private quarters. The room was filled with priceless art and furniture, but it felt cold and empty. She missed the warm chaos of Mama Betty Diner and Jake's genuine smile. Her personal advisor knocked on the door. Empress, there is something else you should know. What now, Helen? Our intelligence network reports that your identity has been discovered on New Haven Station. The human Jake Morrison knows who you are. Luna felt her heart sink. How? His friend accessed station security files. By now he knows everything. Luna closed her eyes. She had hoped to tell Jake the truth herself when she returned. Now he would. Think she had been lying to him all along. Shall I arrange for memory modification? Helen asked. We could make him forget he ever met you. No, Luna said firmly. Jake deserves better than that. 3 days later, Luna returned to New Haven Station. She found Jake sitting alone in Mama Betty Diner, staring into a cup of cold coffee. He looked up when she approached, and she saw hurt and confusion in his eyes. Hello, Jake, she said quietly. Your Imperial Majesty, Jake replied, formally standing up. Luna winced. Please do not call me that. I am still Luna to you. Are you? Jake asked. Because according to my research, Luna does not exist. There is only Cosmic Empress Lunara Stellarwyn, ruler of 10,000 worlds. Luna sat down across from him. Both are true. Lunara is who I have to be for my people. Luna is who I want to be. Why did not you tell me? Because for the first time in 300 years, I met someone who looked at me and saw just a woman. Not a title or a symbol or a weapon to be used. Just Luna, who likes pancakes and terrible jokes. Jake was quiet for a long moment. 300 years. Elves live a long time, Jake. I have been Empress for most of my life. I never had a choice in the matter. So this was all what? A vacation from being the most powerful person in the galaxy. Luna reached across the table, but Jake pulled his hands away. It started that way, she admitted. I was exhausted and angry, and I just wanted to be normal for a while. But then I met you and everything changed. How? You protected me in that store. A mechanic with no weapons or powers tried to save the Cosmic Empress from bounty hunters. Do you know how long it has been since someone tried to protect me instead of using me? Jake looked at her carefully. Amy says you could buy this entire station without noticing the expense. Probably true. She says you have magic powers that could reshape reality. Also true. She says you have responsibilities to billions of people and enemies who would kill anyone close to you. Luna nodded sadly. All true. Jake was quiet again, thinking hard. Finally, he looked up at her. Do you really like pancakes, or was that part of the act? Luna smiled for the first time since she had returned. I really do love pancakes, and your stories about fixing things, and the way you see good in everyone even when they do not deserve it. The woman I fell for, Jake said slowly. Is she real? She is the most real thing about me, Luna replied. Everything else is duty and obligation and politics. Luna who gets excited about Earth food and laughs too loud at bad jokes. That is who I really am underneath all the titles. Jake studied, her face looking for lies or deception. All he saw was the woman who had held his hand in the garden. This is crazy, he said finally. Completely insane, Luna agreed. You are basically a goddess, more or less. And I am a mechanic who lives in a tiny apartment and owns 3 sets of work clothes. That is part of what I love about you. Jake blinked. Love. Luna blushed, which Jake had not known was possible for someone so powerful. I mean, care about. Deeply care about. Luna. Yes, I love you too. They looked at each other across the table in the bright lights of the diner. Around them, the normal sounds of life continued, but for Jake and Luna, the universe had just shifted. So what happens now? Jake asked. I do not know, Luna admitted. This has never happened before. We will figure it out, Jake said, taking her hand. Together. Luna smiled and squeezed his hand. Together. Jake spent the next week learning just how complicated dating the most powerful woman in the galaxy could be. Luna had to return to her duties, but she managed to visit New Haven Station twice. Each time she brought a small army of bodyguards, who tried to blend in but failed miserably. This is not going to work, Jake said after their second coffee date was interrupted by 3 different security sweeps. People are starting to ask questions, Luna sighed. I know. My advisors keep telling me this is a mistake. Maybe they are right. Do you think they are right? Jake looked at her across the table. Even in simple clothes with her hair pulled back, Luna was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. But more than that, she was kind and funny, and she made him want to be better than he was. No, he said firmly. But I cannot keep being the guy you sneak away to see. If we are going to do this, I want to be part of your real life. Jake, my real life involves danger and politics and decisions that affect billions of people. Are you sure you want that? I want you. All of you. Not just the parts that are easy. Luna studied his face. There is a diplomatic mission to Kepler Prime next week. It should be routine. Come with me. Come with you where? To Kepler Prime. As my guest. It will be your introduction to how my world really works. Jake felt nervous and excited at the same time. What do I need to do? Just be yourself. That is all I have ever wanted from you. 3 days later, Jake found himself on Luna flagship, the Starlight Crown. The ship was bigger than New Haven Station and filled with beings from dozens of different worlds. Jake had never felt so out of place in his life. The key is confidence, Admiral Lisa Stormwind told him as she showed him around the ship. Act like you belong here, and most people will believe you do. What if I say something stupid? Then you say something stupid. You would not be the first person to embarrass themselves at a diplomatic function. Jake was fitted with formal clothes that cost more than he made in a year. Luna had insisted on simple designs that would not make him too uncomfortable, but he still felt like he was playing dress-up. You look very handsome, Luna said when she saw him in his new outfit. She was wearing robes that seemed to be woven from captured starlight, and a simple crown that made her look every inch the empress she was. "I look like a fraud," Jake muttered. "You look like the man I love," Luna corrected gently. The diplomatic meeting was being held at a resort on Kepler Prime. Representatives from 6 different worlds were gathering to discuss trade agreements. Luna explained that it was exactly the kind of boring routine business that kept the galaxy running. "Nothing exciting ever happens at trade meetings," she assured Jake as their shuttle approached the planet. Jake should have known that was tempting fate. The meeting started normally enough. Jake sat quietly in the back of the room while Luna and the other delegates discussed shipping routes and tariff rates. He was actually starting to relax when the lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. Alarms began blaring, and Jake heard the sound of weapons being charged. "Nobody move," a voice commanded. "This meeting is over." Jake saw figures in dark armor moving through the room. Several of the delegates were not delegates at all, but shapeshifters who had been waiting for this moment. "Diane Blackthorne sends her regards," the lead figure said, removing her helmet. She was a tall woman with black hair and cruel eyes. "The cosmic empress days of ruling through fear are over." "I do not rule through fear," Luna said calmly, though Jake could see energy beginning to gather around her hands. "No, you rule through pretending to be better than everyone else. But we know what you really are. A spoiled child playing with forces. Beyond her understanding." The woman raised her hand, and Jake saw magical energy forming there. But instead of attacking Luna directly, she targeted the structural supports of the building. "Let us see how well your precious empress protects her people when she is buried under a mountain of rubble." Luna threw up a protective barrier, but Jake could see the strain on her face. She was trying to protect everyone in the room while the building collapsed around them. "The gravity generators!" Jake shouted over the noise. "If I can shut down the artificial gravity, the debris will float instead of falling." "The control room is 3 levels down," Admiral Stormwind yelled back. "You will never make it in time." Jake was already moving. He had spent years crawling through maintenance shafts and repair tunnels. This was just a bigger version of the same thing. He found an access panel and ripped it open. The maintenance tunnels on Kepler Prime were different from the ones on New Haven, but the basic principles were the same. Follow the power conduits to find the main systems. Jake crawled through ducts and squeezed past pipe junctions as the building shook around him. He could hear the sounds of battle above as Luna fought the attackers while trying to hold the structure together. The control room was locked, but Jake had learned a few things about bypassing security systems over the years. He pulled out his toolkit and went to work on the door panel. Come on," he muttered as sparks flew from the damaged circuits. The door finally opened, and Jake rushed to the main control console. The gravity controls were more advanced than anything he had worked on before, but the basic concepts were universal. Find the power source and cut it. Jake started pulling cables and rerouting power. The artificial gravity began to fluctuate, making him feel sick as his body weight changed randomly. Finally, he found the main power coupling and yanked it free. The gravity generators shut down completely, and suddenly everything in the building was floating. Jake kicked off from the wall and flew back through the maintenance shafts toward the meeting room. When he arrived, he found Luna surrounded by floating debris and unconscious attackers. "Nice work," she said, pulling him close as they drifted in zero gravity. "Very creative solution. Are you hurt?" "Not even a scratch, thanks to you." Jake looked around at the aftermath of the battle. Luna had taken on a dozen enemies while protecting everyone else and had not even broken a sweat. "That was terrifying," he said. "Welcome to my world," Luna replied. Later that evening, they sat on the balcony of their hotel room, watching the twin moons of Kepler Prime rise over the horizon. Jake was still processing everything that had happened. "Do you want to go home?" Luna asked quietly. "This is not exactly what I expected when you said routine diplomatic mission." "I know. I am sorry you got caught up in that." Jake took her hand. "Luna, I have been thinking about what you said, about your world being dangerous and complicated. And you were right. It is dangerous and complicated and completely insane. Luna," face fell. "I understand if you want to go back to your normal life." "I was not finished," Jake said with a smile. "It is all of those things, but it is also important. You are making decisions that help billions of people live better lives. You are protecting worlds from people like Blackthorn who would destroy everything good just to have power. It is not always that clear-cut. Maybe not, but you are trying to do the right thing. That matters. Luna looked at him with those amazing violet eyes. So you want to stay? I want to stay. But not as someone you have to protect or hide in the background. I want to be your partner in this. All of it. Jake, you have no idea what you are asking for. Then teach me. I am a fast learner. Luna was quiet for a long moment, looking out at the moons. Finally, she turned back to him. There is something I need to ask you, she said, reaching into a pocket of her robes. What? Luna pulled out a small box, and Jake's heart stopped. Jake Morrison, she said, opening the box to reveal a ring that seemed to contain a captured star. Will you marry me? Jake stared at the ring, then at Luna, then at the ring again. I thought I was supposed to ask you that question. I am the Cosmic Empress. I do not wait for anyone to ask me anything. Jake laughed and took the ring from the box. It was beautiful, but he shook his head. I cannot accept this, he said. Luna's face fell. Oh, I thought. I mean, after today I hoped. You cannot. Propose to me, Jake said, standing up. Because I am proposing to you first. He pulled a small ring out of his pocket. It was made from scrap metal he had found in his workshop and polished until it gleamed. It is not much, he said, getting down on one knee, but I made it myself. Luna Stellarwyn, will you marry me? Luna stared at the simple metal ring with tears in her eyes. It is perfect, she whispered. Yes, Jake Morrison, yes, I will marry you. News of the engagement spread across the galaxy faster than light travel. Within hours of Luna's announcement, every major news network was running the story. The Cosmic Empress was marrying a human mechanic. The political implications are staggering, Admiral Stormwind said during an emergency meeting aboard the Starlight Crown. Half the Galactic Council thinks you have lost your mind. What does the other half think? Luna asked. That this is some kind of elaborate political move to gain human support. Jake sat quietly in the corner of the meeting room, feeling very out of place. He was wearing his best work clothes, which looked shabby compared to the formal uniforms, and robes everyone else wore. Perhaps we should postpone the wedding, suggested General Silvermoon, until the political situation stabilizes. No, Luna said firmly. I have spent 300 years putting duty before personal happiness. I will not do it anymore. Empress, her advisor Helen said carefully. There are reports that Diane Blackthorn is planning something. Intelligence suggests she sees this wedding as an opportunity to strike. Let her come, Luna replied. I am not hiding anymore. After the meeting, Jake and Luna walked to her private quarters. Jake could tell Luna was stressed even though she was trying to hide it. Maybe they are right, he said. Maybe we should wait. Do you want to wait? I want to marry you tomorrow if we could. But I do not want to cause problems for you. Luna stopped walking and turned to face him. Jake, you are not causing problems. You are the solution to problems I did not even know I had. What do you mean? For 3 centuries I have been the Cosmic Empress, powerful and distant and untouchable. Do you know what that does to a person? I was becoming something cold and inhuman. Jake took her hands. You are the kindest person I know. I am now. Because of you. You remind me that power should be used to help people, not to control them. You make me want to be better. You make me want to be better too. Luna smiled. Then we are perfect for each other. The wedding preparations began immediately. Luna wanted something that represented both of their worlds, so they planned a ceremony that mixed human and elven traditions. Princess Kate Silvermoon arrived from the Moon Elf Kingdom to serve as Luna Maid of Honor. She was tall and elegant with silver hair and blue eyes. I like him, Kate told Luna after meeting Jake. He has good instincts and a brave heart. Also, he makes you laugh, which I have not seen in 50 years. Commander Lisa Stormwind of the Human Defense Force agreed to provide security for the wedding. This is either the bravest thing you have ever done or the craziest, she told Luna. Why not both? Luna replied. Amy Rodriguez arrived from New Haven Station to serve as Jake's best man. She was still not sure about the whole situation, but she could see that Jake was happy. "I still think you are crazy," she told him. "But if this is what you want, I will support you." "Thanks, Amy. That means everything to me." The wedding was planned for Luna flagship with representatives from hundreds of worlds invited to attend. The ceremony would be broadcast across the galaxy. 3 days before the wedding, Diane Blackthorne made her move. A fleet of rebel ships appeared at the edge of the system, demanding that Luna surrender. "She is trying to disrupt the wedding," Admiral Stormwind reported. "Should we engage?" "No," Luna said. "Send a message. Tell Blackthorne she is invited to attend the ceremony as a guest. If she wants to fight, we can do it after the party." "Empress?" "That is extremely risky." "It is also exactly what she will not expect." To everyone's surprise, Blackthorne accepted the invitation. She arrived on her flagship with a small escort and came aboard the Starlight Crown under a flag of truce. "This should be interesting," Jake muttered as he watched Blackthorne's ship dock. The wedding day arrived bright and clear. The ceremony was held in the main hangar bay, which had been decorated with flowers from a dozen different worlds. Representatives from every major government in the galaxy were present. Jake stood at the altar wearing a simple black suit that Luna had insisted was perfect. He was nervous, but not about marrying Luna. He was nervous about saying his vows in front of several billion people who would be watching the broadcast. The music began, and Luna appeared at the far end of the hangar. She was wearing a dress that seemed to be made of flowing starlight itself. Her hair was adorned with a crown of silver and diamonds that caught the light like captured stars. But what took Jake's breath away was her smile. She was radiant with happiness as she walked toward him. The ceremony was performed by Elder Mary Moonwhisper of the High Elven Council. She spoke in both English and Elvish as she led them through the traditional vows. When it came time for personal vows, Jake pulled out a piece of paper with shaking hands. "Luna," he began. "3 months ago, I went to buy potato chips and met the love of my life. I know that sounds crazy, but that is how love works sometimes. It finds you when you least expect it." He looked up at her and saw tears in her violet eyes. "I promise to love you not because you are the Cosmic Empress, but because you are Luna who gets excited about pancakes and laughs at terrible jokes. I promise to stand beside you through whatever comes next. I promise to be your partner in this crazy, wonderful life we are building together." Jake reached into his pocket and pulled out another ring. This one was also made from scrap metal, but he had spent weeks working on it. It was simple but beautiful in its own way. "I made this for you," he said, slipping it onto her finger. "It is not worth much, but it comes with all my love." Luna wiped tears from her eyes as she began her own vows. "Jake Morrison," she said in a voice that carried clearly through the hangar. "You saved me from becoming something I never wanted to be. You reminded me that real power comes from caring about others, not controlling them." She reached for his hands, and Jake could feel the warmth of her touch. "I promise to love you with all my heart for as long as the stars shine. I promise to be your Luna, not just your Empress. I promise to build a life with you that is full of laughter and love and maybe terrible jokes." Elder Moonwhisper smiled as she raised her hands. "By the power of love and the blessing of the stars, I pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride." Jake and Luna kissed as the hangar erupted in cheers. Confetti made from flower petals fell from the ceiling like gentle rain. Even Diane Blackthorne was applauding, though she looked like she was doing it through gritted teeth. The reception was held in the main dining hall with food from across the galaxy. Jake was amazed to see dishes he recognized from Earth alongside exotic delicacies he could not even pronounce. "This is incredible," he told Luna as they danced to music played by a band from the Centauri system. "This is just the beginning," she replied. During the reception, Jake found himself talking to beings from dozens of different worlds. To his surprise, many of them were genuinely interested in hearing about human culture and his work as a mechanic. "The Empress speaks of you often," Princess Kate told him. "She says you have taught her much about seeing the simple beauty in everyday things." "She has taught me a lot too," Jake replied, "about responsibility and duty and what it means to care for something bigger than yourself." As the evening went on, Jake noticed that many of the dignitaries who had seemed cold and formal earlier were now laughing and enjoying themselves. Luna was moving through the crowd like a gracious hostess rather than a distant ruler. "You are good for her," General Vera Ironforge of the Dwarven clans told Jake. "She has not been this relaxed in decades." Near the end of the reception, Diane Blackthorn approached Jake and Luna. "I came here expecting to hate this," she said bluntly, "but I have to admit you two seem genuinely happy." "Thank you," Luna said carefully. "Do not thank me yet. I still think you are making a mistake mixing personal feelings with galactic politics. But maybe that is exactly what this galaxy needs." Blackthorn extended her hand to Jake. "Take care of her, human. She is more important than you know." "I will," Jake promised. The wedding celebration continued late into the night. Finally, Jake and Luna retreated to their quarters, exhausted but happy. "So," Jake said as they sat on their balcony looking out at the stars, "I am married to the most powerful woman in the galaxy." "How does it feel?" Luna asked. "Terrifying and wonderful and completely insane." "Welcome to my world, husband," Jake laughed and pulled her close. "Our world now." 6 months later, Jake and Luna were back at Mama Betty Diner on New Haven Station. Jake was still working as a mechanic, though now. He had a workshop aboard the Starlight Crown where he fixed things for the crew. "You know what my favorite part of being married to you is," Jake said as they shared a plate of pancakes. "What?" "This. Just sitting here eating breakfast with my wife like a normal couple." Luna smiled and reached across the table to take his hand. "Mine too." Outside the diner windows, the stars twinkled in the eternal night of space. Somewhere out there were problems to solve and people to help and duties to fulfill. But for now, there were just two people in love sharing pancakes and terrible jokes, and that was exactly how they wanted it.